Okay, so we've talked about forces. We know what they are now. We know that they are a push or a pull. We have looked at our catalog of forces. We know what they are too. So the question is, what do forces do to objects? So when there is a force acting on an object, what does it do? So, and the answer to that is that the forces somehow change the motion of the object. So, for instance, I have a box here, and that box is attached to a rubber band, and I pull the rubber band. So what's going to happen in this example is that the object is going to start moving and the velocity is going to increase. An increase in velocity is due to an acceleration. So we are going to say that this force actually is producing this acceleration. This force causes acceleration, causes the velocity to increase. So experimentally, that's what we find. An object pulled with a constant force moves with a constant acceleration. There is a constant acceleration that is the product of this constant force being applied to the object. This acceleration is directly proportional to the force, and the acceleration is inversely proportional to the mass of the object. The heavier the object, the smaller the acceleration. So let's see an example here. We want to find the mass of an unknown block. So we have a rubber band that is stretched to pull a 1 kilogram block with a constant force. The acceleration of the block, we can measure that at 3 meters per second squared. The block with an unknown mass is pulled with the same rubber band using the same force, and so an acceleration now is 5 meters per second. What is the mass of the unknown block? So this is the problem. We have a block, and we know the mass of this guy is 1 kilogram, right? And then we pulled. We applied a force F, right? And then when we do that, we find that there is an acceleration on this object A, which is equal to 3 meters per second squared going to the right, right? So that is the acceleration, and I'm going to just write this as the magnitude. So now I have a second block, and I don't know the mass of this block. That's an unknown. So what I do is I apply the same force. I apply the same force F with the rubber bands, and I find that now this guy moves with an acceleration of 5 meters per second. So I can use these two things to figure out the mass of this object. So to do that, what I do is I remember that the force is proportional, the acceleration is proportional to the mass and is proportional to the force, and inversely proportional to the mass. I can write this as 3 meters per second squared over 5 meters per second squared is equal to the mass of the unknown object divided by the mass of the known object. And then from there I can figure out the mass of the unknown object, which is 0.6 kilograms.